Hello, hello. It is 8 o'clock here in the UK, Wednesday evening. I've just come off a webinar, but that finished 15 minutes early. So we finished talking about data privacy 15 minutes early today. So I've had plenty of time to go and get a glass of water. I'm on a bit of a health focus, so no wine or anything interesting for me tonight. But please, by all means, if you're watching, go and grab something nice. My coach always says that on her lives that she's having a nice glass of Chardonnay and enjoying it. So do what you need to do. I'm going to wait a few minutes to see if we get some more people on while I just babble on. I have been away a little bit, so I do want to do a bit of housekeeping, and then we're going to get straight back into lots of exciting stuff over the next few weeks and months that I'll be talking about in a moment. In case you've also been away, don't worry. Some of the work we've been doing in the past weeks has been about letting go a little bit, being self-compassionate, enjoying your holiday, taking some time off, and that is incredibly important as well. I have been doing that. I'm getting better and better at taking sort of proper holiday, which is great. Part of the reason I can do that is a bit of planning, help from people around me. Sophia, as you hopefully recognize her name now, she's here in the group managing the people coming in, and she's been posting as I've been away and so on. So thank you to Sophia, and thanks to everybody for keeping things going as well. So, but just to say that it is okay that you have been taking a bit of a break. Don't worry at all. So I do want to say welcome as ever to our new members. This is our first live in a few weeks since I have been away. So this is the Wednesday One Step Outside Facebook Live in here in the group every Wednesday evening, 8 o'clock UK time. I hope that time works for most people. It is the time that sort of the group voted for back when I started a few months ago. Of course, you can always catch the replay afterwards, but it's a great opportunity to join live to be able to really ask me questions. It makes me feel like less of an idiot, so I'm not talking to myself. And it's just great to have that accountability. So I have created an event. Some of you have RSVP'd. You can put maybe, you can put going, not going, you can put whatever you want, but it's good. Maybe not going for everything, because then you'll never get the notifications. But the idea is that you have it in your calendar, and then Facebook will sort of notify you just to remind you, because I know I've been hearing from some of you that you don't necessarily remember that it's happening. So 8 o'clock UK time, Wednesday evenings. So for the new members in here, my name is Anna Lundberg. Hopefully you've had some time, or maybe you found me somewhere in the online space and you've been reading my articles or watching my videos or whatever it is. So thank you so much for your trust, and really pleased to have you here in this group. It is really growing into a fantastic place where people are sharing their wins. There's some fantastic progress being made in the group, also sharing some struggles maybe. We're helping each other out, and as of course, I'm here every week as well and every day with trainings and answering questions and so on. But it's a really lovely group. There's no spam, which is really lovely. People aren't sort of pushing their services and sharing irrelevant links and so on. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. That keeps the group really lovely for all of us. So let me do a bit of housekeeping, and then we'll get into our topic for this evening. So in terms of housekeeping, as I said, we actually are going to have kind of a back to school topic very soon, because I feel like, and I've been hearing this from a lot of parents, the kids are going back to school. I don't have kids. I am not a kid. However, I still have that sort of seasonality of the year that I feel like, you know, August, September is always when you get your new stationery, you get organised, you start looking at your strategy again, and you get focused again sort of after the summer period. So it may be that we're a bit too early still, people are on holiday in August, so we'll ease into things, but in a couple of weeks things are really going to pick up here in the group and all around the world of One Step Outside. So get ready, buckle your seatbelts, it's going to be a good ride. But to say the housekeeping, I got too excited by my roller coaster ride example. So lots going on. A few things I wanted to say. One is that, of course, I have my book coming out. I have a lot still to do. I gave myself that deadline of the 3rd of October, which is my birthday, as sort of accountability. There's a lot around there, and I will be reaching out to you guys with more information, building lots of sort of great content around it. The book is called Leaving the Corporate 9 to 5, Stories from People Who've Done It and How You Can Too. I've been interviewing people who have left behind the 9 to 5, the sort of traditional full-time professional career, for a whole host of reasons. 50 people I've now got, and they've gone off to either change career sector or start their own business or become freelance, created a portfolio career, which is sort of a combination of different things, or I have an area as well called work in progress, because some people have just taken some time off to travel and to work out what they want to do as well. So full of inspiration, and also these people have graciously shared their struggles, their challenges, and their tips and advice to you too. So excited about that. If you haven't signed up to the waiting list yet, leavingthecorporate9to5.com, leavingthecorporate9to5.com, and you can join the waiting list there. But hopefully you'll see it being posted here in the group and everywhere as well. So the book is coming out 3rd of October. Around that, as I said, we're building loads of content, extra trainings, lots of value for you guys all around this topic. So a second piece of housekeeping is that I posted a poll today. Lots of you have already replied, so thank you so much. It makes my life and job a whole lot easier when you tell me what you want, what you need. So I've asked you the kind of content that you're looking for that would be the most help to you at this stage of where you are. I know we have a range of people in the group, but I'm also reading the answers that you're giving as you've entered the group, and the things you're sharing and so on. And I think the principles of what we're trying to do, get that extra time for our family, find fulfilling work, find our ikigai, as we sometimes talk about, that Japanese concept, look after our well-being, do meaningful work, make a contribution in the world, all these wonderful things I think we all share. Whether we have retired, as some people have, whether we're sort of in our early stages of our career and we're already realizing it's not quite what we want to do, or maybe we've already started a business and we're just not quite there yet in terms of sort of revenue and how it's working and so on. So thank you so much to those of you who've answered the poll. If you haven't, it's in here in the group somewhere, so do please go over there and answer that poll. I will make sure that there is content on all the questions that I've asked there, so don't worry. I've seen there's quite a bit of a spread. But the other piece of news, of course, is that there is going to be a Facebook challenge. It's going to be the 3rd one. So around the time of the book launch, we're going to have another 5-day challenge. We've done 2 so far. So that's going to be really exciting in terms of helping you guys. Again, it's a great opportunity to get us all together, to have accountability. There'll be a little bit of homework every day. There'll be prizes to win, and there'll be lots of really good prizes this time around. I can guarantee it. So those of you who've done a challenge before, maybe you want to share your experience, but it's been really fun for me, and the feedback's been really positive. It's a great way that I'm sort of here with you every evening for 5 days. It's pretty intense, but it makes such a difference in terms of sort of leaping forwards rather than the little steps that we're usually taking. So there will be the challenge, and the final piece there is that I'm also reopening the doors for the 3rd time as well. So magical number 3, all the way around 3rd October for the book, 3rd group challenge and 3rd group program as well. It's the One Step Aside the 9 to 5. It's a 6 to 12 month program that really takes you from getting that clarity on what it is you want to do, overcoming mindset, fear of failure and so on, getting clear on your idea and strategy, and really beginning to implement that, and to importantly get the right balance between work and your personal priorities, and to make it sustainable essentially as you go on and sail off into the sunset. So there'll be lots more on that as well. If anyone has any questions on any of these things I've said, then do please PM me. I'm here all the time and I can answer your questions, so let me know. I think that is the housekeeping I wanted to say. I'm going to talk, and I've already babbled on for 10 minutes. I've seen a few people joining and dropping off, so I hope everything is working okay. If you do watch the replay, let me know. Say hello. Tell me who you are, where you're watching from, what you're working on at the moment. I'll happily reply to you as well when I come offline as well, and maybe tomorrow when I wake up again, because it's quite late in England at the moment. However, this week and next week, the topic that we're talking about is imposter syndrome. So we've been talking, sort of shifting gears a little bit, because we've been talking about how do you come up with a business idea, how do you use your existing skills to do a business, how do you choose between different business ideas, and so on. And something that's come up has been, and it's funny because I've seen in 2 or 3 other groups people talking about this just the last few days, so it clearly somehow is in the universe, but the idea of imposter syndrome. And I found an article, I think I posted the blog and I'll post it here as well, the original sort of guys who coined the phrase, and it was all around feeling incompetent, feeling like you've deceived other people about your abilities, and maybe being a little bit introverted, feeling a bit of shame. But the one that really resonated with me, and it might be different for all of you, was the need to look smart to others. And I wanted to share a bit of an anecdote, because I remember at Procter & Gamble, where I was working, giving presentations, I forget who it was he said to me, but I always got so nervous, as a lot of people do, you know, public speaking, and I was given all these sort of big decks to present, and they're so boring, and I was always sort of thinking, what if I can't answer the question, and you know, how am I going to get through all this? And I was so stressed about the slides and so on. And someone pointed out to me, hang on, well, actually they asked me, what is your objective when you're presenting this? Is your objective to prove that you are smart, to prove that you know your stuff, to show them how fancy you are at PowerPoints? No, of course not. My objective, as I realized when I coached myself, was that I have a certain message I want to get across. Let's say I am the digital expert. I need to make sure people are aware of this new technology or opportunity. This is the general idea of it. This is where they can get more information, and I want them to come and talk to me after the session or something like that. Super clear messages. And nowhere in those messages was there, hey, I'm amazing at what I do. And that just lifted this massive burden from me. And so if somebody asked me a question I didn't know, there were two options that I learned. One was to say, oh, that's an interesting question. What does the group think? So you reflect it back to the audience. And the other one was is actually saying, you know what, I haven't thought about that before. I'll have to think about that and I'll come back to you. But something that's really helped me is that taking the pressure off, that you don't have to prove to other people that you're so smart. These are people who you're never going to meet again, potentially, certainly in the online space and so on, you know. So I always talk about defining what success is for you, and I think that's true on this micro scale as well. But just as a bit of an anecdote, that's sort of in the context of public speaking, taking away the pressure to prove yourself, to prove that you're smart to other people. So I'd love to hear from you guys if any of this resonates for you. The other part of it that I found interesting, and last week we talked about achiever syndrome, and some of us were very much relating to the sort of questions I was asking in that session. And the article also talked about performance goals. And I think that's part of this achiever syndrome, in that we're really pushing. And in fact, I just, lots of different tangents here, but I was just on interviewed on a podcast yesterday, and we were talking about the idea that authors have to be on the New York Times bestseller list and want to be recommended by Oprah, and we as speakers want to be on the TED stage and all these things. And there's very much this sort of societal pressure and this expectation to have these external kind of performance goals, as it were, and this sort of credentials. And I talk about the good girl, that lots of syndromes, good girl syndrome, achiever syndrome, imposter syndrome. The good news is that there's a cure for all of them, so that's great. And it's good to be aware of them, however. Getting that gold star, getting the tick from your teacher and so on. So those performance goals, what I'm trying to do, and certainly with my clients, is work on actually, yes, you have a certain end goal, and in the long term, you know, you might have that you want to have a certain income or something that you do want to achieve. Of course, that's important. However, there's also such a thing as a process goal, and recognizing and celebrating your achievements in terms of progress. So, you know, I can't guarantee that I'll get £10,000 or 500 clients buying into my group program, whatever it may be, you know, next month. But what I can guarantee is that every day I'm going to show up. I'm going to go live in the Facebook group. I'm going to message people on LinkedIn. I'm going to write my articles. I'm going to answer questions. Like, you know, there are certain things I can do, and that's an achievement in itself. I can look after my health and well-being. That's super important. I can get my sleep. I can drink my water. I'm now sort of doing a bit of a strict program after a bit of a sort of not such a healthy summer, let's say. But, you know, those are the things that are in my control. So I think it's important to take a bit of the pressure off from those performance goals as well, and not just focusing on the amazing results. But we're talking in the context of course, this applies in business world. And we were talking to someone the other day about, you know, coming back to work after maybe maternity leave, parental leave, or a long absence from work. And we get sort of, our comfort zone shrinks around us, and then having to come back, that's really tricky. And I think that totally applies in a job as well. However, we're talking here in the context of being an entrepreneur. And I think there are a few ways in which this manifests. And again, I've seen it in a couple of clients recently. Mandy, I think, shared this fantastic graphic of sort of the mountain of, you know, oh, I can't do this, I don't know what I want to do, how am I ever going to, I don't know how, and then eventually you get to sort of the I can, I will, I am doing it, and then I did. I actually think, as I said to her, it's more of an up and down, because what happens is you have that initial euphoria, oh my gosh, it's amazing, I've launched my website, I've got my logo, I've registered my company, I maybe got my first clients, I've got money coming in, I love it, it's amazing, I'm traveling, I'm having fun. And then you have the inevitable dip. Seth Godin has a book called The Dip, and you need to know then if he says if it's, you know, an actual dip that's going to last forever, that this is the wrong business and so on, or if it's just temporary blip. But it is inevitable that we'll begin to question things or have some self-doubt. And as I said to Mandy, we'll sort of get back to the, oh, I'm not sure if I can, and so on. And so we begin to think, hang on, am I crazy to think I can do this? Who am I to think, you know, why do I think I'm so special? You know, we find ourselves going back onto job boards and sites and things, and we compare ourselves to other people, and it's not a great place to be in. So just to say that that is perfectly normal. We all have it from time to time. I think when I know that the most successful entrepreneurs and business leaders in the world feel that as well, and we're constantly raising the bar. So something that I would have been terrified to do a year ago, I'm now doing comfortably, but now I've set my sights on something else. So you're constantly reaching for the next thing. Hence why it's so important to celebrate, you know, again, your progress and so on, and to look back at how far you've come. Because again, a couple of clients I've been working with recently, they have made huge, massive, incredible, fantastic progress in just a few months. And yet it's so easy to just think, oh, and for me too, I'm not where I want to be. I want to get here. I want to launch my podcast. I want to launch another book. I want more clients. I want to help more people. I want to make a difference, and so on. And it's great. And you know, we're impatient and we're excited and we're passionate. But the reality is, again, you know, that we are going to have those dips, and it's important then to again be aware of that. And then we'll talk about in a minute what we can do about it as well. Specifically as well, in terms of being an entrepreneur, I think the risk there with these performance goals, with wanting to be smart to everyone, to appear smart to everyone and so on, is that we'll look for external validation. And in terms of running a business, that might look like looking at, you know, the number of likes on a post you put up. You know, no one's watching this live at the moment. Oh my goodness, what's gone wrong? The blog post didn't get as many views as it usually does. My launch didn't go as well. Instagram, nobody cares. Brigitte, hello, good to see you. I was just saying that no one's on the live, but there you go. You see, round the corner there is a ray of sunlight. But you look at all these external measures in terms of, again, likes and views and traffic and sales and so on. And yet, you know, that's not really a true sign of whether or not your business is successful. And those are little micro moments. Whereas you're really building, you know, a long-term business and brand. So in the case of, you know, a video that you post that doesn't get as much engagement, that's okay. You're going to post another video next week and you're going to move forwards and so on. So if you're constantly looking at what other people are saying, how many likes you're getting, how many views and so on, you know, if you're comparing yourself to other entrepreneurs who are either on a different path to you or are way further ahead than you are, then I think the danger is then that you're actually going to make your own failure inevitable, because you're losing sight of your goal, your strategy that you're working towards. You're getting distracted by what everyone else is doing. You're looking at these metrics that aren't actually that important. And then that whole imposter syndrome, the whole, it becomes sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So that's all to talk, paint a very negative picture of what can go wrong. We lose all hope. We feel like this is something we're never going to be able to do. This is not, you know, I'm not entrepreneurial, I'm not good enough. There are so many people, it's such a saturated market. There are so many coaches and consultants already. It's never going to work. I was an idiot for thinking, and so on. And, you know, that's really a negative spiral. And again, I see again and again people, and I used to do it, I don't do it anymore, but people going back to those job sites or, you know, beginning to doubt and thinking, it's not going to work and so on. So first of all, it is totally normal. And the second thing, and we're not actually going to talk about how to fix this until next week, because next week we're going to have a whole session where we're going to have a workshop where we're going to talk about lots of things that we can do. But I wanted to say, I guess, and I'm going to sort of wrap things up as well because we're already 20 minutes in, is first of all to recognize that this can happen. So again, the euphoria at the beginning is exciting. The real work begins a few months in when you're actually, and those of you who are further along in the business, do please, you know, share and agree with me here that, you know, the further along you are, that's when you realize that's when it becomes less exciting. You know, every moment of my day is not going to be amazing, and I'm not passionate about, you know, sending this invoice or you know, doing whatever, like fixing something on my website or something. You know, it's not that every aspect of running a business is sexy and exciting, and certainly won't be when you've done it for a long time. You want to keep it interesting, you want it to be something that you're passionate about and so on, but again, there will be these inevitable dips and so on. If you're prepared for that and aware of the risk and recognize that that is just a bit of a blip, and you're going to push through, you're going to get the help you need, whether that's just someone to slap you or cheer you on or give you advice or whatever it is, then I think that makes it a lot easier if you're sort of prepared for that. So that's the first thing. Be aware that it can happen. It's completely normal, but as I was saying to someone else as well, often the breakthrough is just around the corner. So just where you're struggling the most, when you're about to give up. If you give up, you're actually going to miss out on some amazing opportunity. It's just around the corner. So that's something to bear in mind as well. The other thing, by the way, is that we say that the market is saturated, there's so many other people. I swear that 9 out of 10 people are going to give up at this stage. It becomes too hard. Most people are not cut out to do this. It is hard work. We have a lot of self-doubt. It takes longer than we think. And, there are so many examples of all these sort of cliches, but fantastic examples, like Michael Jordan, who was fired from his basketball team. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company, Apple. Other examples, Oprah was told she wasn't fit for TV, J.K. Rowling was rejected from all these publishers, etc., etc. And if they'd given up, and certainly I've given up in the past on some things, they wouldn't have got to where they are. So I think the successes are because they've put aside their ego, they've stopped comparing themselves to others, they've just kept going one step at a time, getting better and better, being consistent, working towards that, getting the support they needed, and then ultimately getting to where they wanted to be. So that's sort of, again, a bit of reassurance, and look to those external examples for inspiration. The other two things I do want to say in terms of what you can do, and I think there's two important things, one of which you're already doing. So one I'm going to put out there already is to surround yourself with positive people, with a tribe. That is what One Step Outside is all about. So we're all here to support you. So if you're ever feeling in doubt, you can private message me and post something in group, and people are bound to be jumping on saying, you know what, I feel the same, and maybe giving you some advice and just kind of cheering you on. So surrounding yourself with people online, offline, if possible as well, getting those supporters, getting people who can really cheer you on and keep you going through those tough times. That's really crucial on the one hand. However, the most important piece that I want to leave you with, and maybe the hardest piece, but actually the most powerful piece as well, is to get to a point where your inner conviction and strength is at a point where you no longer need that external validation. Now, I want to explain that I don't mean, and some people do this and that's fine, but I don't feel this way. I don't mean saying, oh, fuck them all, I don't care. Apologies for swearing. I don't care at all what other people think. I'm going to do my own thing, blah. I don't like that approach personally, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying ignore everybody else and so on. There are people you love. There are people with valid opinions and so on. It's interesting to listen to that. However, this sort of validation that comes from your boss giving you like a good job, or, for me, the teacher, someone telling you that you're good at something, the fact that an awful client hires you and you say yes just because you're so sort of flattered that somebody wants to work with you, that kind of thing is very dangerous. So that's where I think the clarity of knowing what you're working towards, knowing that you're on the right track, knowing that you have the support that you need, and knowing that this is, at the moment at least, the right thing for you. You may still evolve and pivot later on, but this is what you're working towards at the moment. And, you sort of incubate yourself a little bit away from other people. That inner clarity and conviction is what's going to make you a little bit more protected and stronger moving forward. So you don't have to feel like you should be looking to other people or copying others, or you're not good enough, and all these things. So that's sort of I hope that's not too vague and wishy-washy, but just an important piece in terms of, sometimes taking time out, turning off those notifications, stop watching lots of Facebook videos and scrolling and going on Instagram and listening to podcasts and so on. Shut out that noise for a bit. The summer is a great time to do that. Work on your inner confidence, strength, what your values are, work on those limiting beliefs, fears, all these things that we've talked about that we'll continue talking about, but getting that clarity on what success means to you and what you're working towards and why that's important. And that is going to really help you to strip away all of that external noise and the shoulds of what other people are saying or what you feel you should be doing and all those things. So that's sort of I was going to say brief, but relatively long. Hello, there's someone else watching as well. I'd love for you to say hello. I'm just wrapping up now. So that's what I want to talk about this week, about imposter syndrome. I'll post the article just if you do want to dip into that and get more sort of details on that and the original article that they wrote in the 70s. Very interesting. I'd love to hear from you again. If you're watching the replay, let me know which of these parts resonated with you. Where are you really sort of feeling stuck, or what are you experiencing? If you're more experienced, if you've pulled out out of one of these dips, what helped you, what would help you going forwards. Tell me what's sort of coming to mind with this whole discussion. This is quite a general discussion this week. As I said, next week we'll be back. We're back here every week. So next Wednesday, what is it, the 29th, 8 o'clock UK time again, we'll be getting much more practical in terms of, okay, I'm feeling like this, what can I actually do? So if you have any suggestions as well, let me know and we'll make sure to include those next week. For now, if you joined at the end, do go back when the replay is posted. Lots of exciting things coming up, bit of housekeeping in terms of what's happening here in the group, news about the book, the group program, the challenge, and I'd love for you to answer the poll as well if you haven't already done that. So I was asking for the kind of content that would be most helpful for you. I'm coming up with a calendar now for the next few weeks and months. As I said, lots of extra training, Q&A, lots of value for you guys, hopefully, in the next few weeks and months around the book and the group and everything. So do please fill that in and let me know. And as ever, you can always PM me as well. Great to see you, Fied. I'm sorry that you missed the beginning, but do absolutely watch. As ever, it's a pleasure to have you here, and let me know your thoughts as well. So thanks so much for joining. Hopefully we'll get more people joining again. As we get into the back to school spirit, we'll be sort of redoubling our efforts to really finish this year on a high. We've got 4 months left to really set ourselves up for success for 2018. It's a great time to get a head start on 2019. December, January is always that time when we're sort of setting resolutions and goals, and this is the year where we're going to make a difference. Why don't we already start today? Why don't we already start now in the next few weeks and months and get a bit of a head start and sort of lay the foundations as well? So you are a loyal attendant, and I appreciate that very much, Fian. So I hope you're getting value as well from doing that. I think the people who join and participate and give their all to these things are the ones that usually see the best results. So I know that you'll be doing great things, and you already are. So thanks so much for joining, Fied and Brigitte. Hopefully see more of you as well. And if I have scared you with this talk of imposter syndrome, if it does resonate, then do join me next week, because we'll be solving all the world's problems and finding out what we can do to address that. So really good to see you all. Hopefully see you next week, and PM me or comment if you have any questions or suggestions. Thanks so much. Bye for now.